Hi everyone, welcome back to Live in Italy magazine. And if you're watching this video, we are on YouTube, Live in Italy magazine. And you can now hear this version of the interview on our podcast, which is on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Just look for Italy Answered. I am pleased to welcome Risa and Tanner from the YouTube channel, Our Story to Tell. So if you are not following them already, please look below and you'll be able to find the links. Subscribe because like I always say, this is how we grow this beautiful network and we discover each other and our love for Italy. Now, Our Story to Tell is the perfect match for Live in Italy magazine because every story needs a voice, and they found theirs through building this YouTube channel. Now, they're originally from the United States. They moved abroad, and we'll find out where, and are currently living in Vicenza. So, Risa and Tanner, the reason why I've discovered you, because two of our original contributors are from Vicenza. And although I know that a lot of foreigners live there, it's probably for you not the most common location that you would see expats. So let's learn their journey. My name is Lisa Morales, and I am the editor of Live in Italy magazine, a travel and lifestyle publication dedicated to all things Italy. Welcome, Risa and Tanner. It's great to have you here.
Yeah, thank you. We're excited to be here.
And you can tell us that it's not just Risa and Tanner, it's also, you have two other members of your family that we get to see. Who are they?
So we have two daughters. Oldest is Willa and youngest is Noah.
And what are their ages?
Willa is 5 and Noah is 2, and they are our little adventurers. They go on all with us. We have a lot of fun.
I love it. And actually, I believe I have to go back and look. You're probably the only couple that we've interviewed with children so young. So that any of you who thought about packing your bags and moving abroad, it can be done. So let's get into it. But let's backtrack first. First of all, where were you born and raised?
So both of us were raised in the U.S., like you mentioned before. I was born and raised in Utah, and Risa was born and raised in Idaho and Utah. And that's eventually where we met, was in middle school, high school. And yeah, I mean, you want to take off from there?
So we're like the typical high school sweethearts, and then went to the same university, graduated, and before we started full-time work, we backpacked the world, fell in love with travel, and started to dream of that expat life for us. And then from there, we went back to the States for a little bit and then did whatever we could to get abroad.
That's right. So the first place you lived abroad was?
Yeah, so our first journey was in Germany, and we were there for almost 3 years. We absolutely loved it. It was our first time living abroad, and actually our first time even exploring Germany. We never had been there before, so it was kind of a big leap of faith, but it was wonderful for our family. Our daughter was 1 year old, our oldest daughter. So Willa was still quite a baby, and we were just starting this adventure. She ended up going to German Kita, which was their childcare in Germany. And she started that around the age of 2, which was really cool for us to start to get more integrated and become just a part of that German community. And then after our time in Germany, we moved to Japan, and we lived there for 1 year, which was cut shorter than we thought. But we had an opportunity to come to Italy, and we loved our time in Europe, and we couldn't pass it up. So we've been here in Italy for a little more than 6 months now.
That's fantastic. So your travel bug began early, and you said that, I mean, that's beautiful, as high school sweethearts, and the desire to travel in that. Had you traveled as children with your families?
So both of us experienced a lot of like national park and camping outdoor travel from like a very young age. And so we loved nature, we loved outdoors, but neither of us had been outside of the country until you're like mid-teens. And then I was 18 and I lived in El Salvador and Belize for a few years, serving a church mission. And then once we got together, again, like during college, we took a trip to Belize, and you had gone to Thailand. And that was like really, both of those like really opened up that desire to travel. So once we had like that desire, we had planned once we finished college that we would go on a trip. And like Rissa mentioned before, we went to a lot of places, but primarily to Asia, Southeast Asia. And we spent probably 4 months in Southeast Asia and then about a month between Australia and New Zealand. And that just, it really kickstarted that bug to want to make international living a possibility.
That's fantastic and so brave with young children. And I believe your youngest daughter was born in Germany, right?
Yes, yeah. That's where Noah was born. And we moved to Japan when she was about 6 months. So she didn't have too long there, but it's awesome because she does have a German birth certificate and we're pretty proud of that.
That's fantastic. And what about your citizenship? You are abroad as American citizens on, I guess, a visa. Do you have any lineage to the EU or any other country?
Both of us have like English ancestors. Our last name, my last name is Christensen. So we have Danish ancestors as well, but they're probably from like the early 1800s, early to mid 1800s when they immigrated. So we don't have any direct lineage within like 1 or 2 generations.
Right.
Enough to claim like a citizenship, which would be awesome. We would be all over that.
Right. So basically, you are there as American citizens, and then you have to extend your visas or your work visas or whatever may apply, right?
Correct.
Yeah, because the only reason why I say is like that's a story for another day is a lot of people question that, the ability to work abroad and things. But of course, like that's a story for another day. I want to get back to actually your story as a couple, as a family. So most of our readers are, over 35. Some of them are much older, but of course, the living abroad is not just dedicated to people who are retirement age anymore. A lot of people are like yourselves that just take a chance, pack their bags, and they go. But what I'm really curious about, and maybe some of you are, is the fact that you're doing this with children. So, I mean, our children are grown, but we traveled with them as an early age, and it is such a challenge, probably rewarding in the end. But like, did you think about that before you made all these decisions? Like how to do this, especially, foreign land, different culture, languages?
Yeah, that's a great question. I honestly feel like we were a little naive in the fact of how difficult some of that would be with children. I mean, having moved and Willa only being 1 year old, we knew that having a baby, came with a lot of hard work and tired, sleepless nights. However, we'd never really traveled much with her, a couple like camping trips. But other than that, like, I think just the desire for it was so strong that we just completely jumped into it. Like I said, a little naive. And it has been a lot. It's been our whole journey abroad, especially with 3 moves within 4 years. Yeah. Like has come with a lot of difficulty. We're always thinking about how each move will affect our kids, especially Willa. She's the oldest, changing different childcare options in schools. However, the reward definitely has like exceeded it. We would do it again, like for sure. Do you have anything to add?
No, said it well. Yeah.
And one thing, I think one of my most favorite videos yet is who speaks Italian the best. So I'm guessing, Tanner, because of your time in Belize and Central America, is that's how you got the Spanish. So your Italian is coming along really well. I understand your struggle, Risa, as I learn Italian.
Yes.
So, go for it. But of course, I think the most delightful thing was listening to Willa. So you have her enrolled in a school where she's learning Italian because she seems to just jump right in, right?
Yeah, with all of our moves, starting in Germany, like Rissa said, we wanted to integrate into the local community as best as possible. So with each of our moves, Germany, Japan, and Italy, she's been enrolled in a local kindergarten or daycare.
Or
So
Yochin.
yeah, so she's definitely had the experience first and foremost, just like diving in. And thankfully for, I guess, a little bit of my background and Rissa's, but like especially for my background with Spanish, and then I learned German fairly well when I was there.
Wow.
I think the desire was there to help encourage her and support her, like in and out of the classroom, so she didn't feel so isolated. But she's done an incredible job. Her brain is just sponging everything she possibly can hear. And like you
I
said
love
in
it.
that video, it was really fun to hear her just, repeat things that she's heard. And almost every single day after school, she'll like be kind of like humming or singing like a new song that she learned or asking us questions and stuff. And it's really fun to see her just grow.
And I think for you, Rissa, probably it's really great because I think this is an ideal way to learn is really through a child because because she's so young, you're looking at maybe her books or, the types of programs that she's watching or listening are very elementary. Does it help you?
Oh, definitely it does. And it's awesome because even in that video, we got a lot of comments that were like, Willa has like no accent. Like she seems like she is like speaking as a local Italian. And that really helps me to hear how she says stuff, even in like the town that we live in or gelateria, I didn't even say that without an accent, but like she says it just as a local. And so it's great for me to even like hear that and be like, oh yeah, Willa, that's how I should say it. Like it is awesome. And at night we try and go through, yeah, her little books that are 1,000 Italian words. And it's just awesome for me to like learn with her. And honestly, she's ahead of the game in Italian as I am, but it gives me motivation as well to want to learn because it is hard to learn a new language as an adult. So having like my kid and Noah will soon be enrolled, having them learning Italian and speaking Italian, it makes me want to communicate with them as well.
That's amazing. So let's talk about Vicenza. You came from Japan and then you moved to Italy. Why Vicenza? Which, if
So
anybody doesn't know, it's in northern Italy, right? In the Verona area.
correct. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's near Verona. It's in Veneto, and that means you're close to the sea, you're close to the mountains, which we definitely love, both of those.
Mm.
But a little backstory, I work for the US military. I'm a civilian employee working for health and safety within the local military base that the Americans have here. So it's not the most ideal city that we would have chosen, but it is in an area, like I mentioned before, that has a lot to offer. And having worked with people who have lived and worked in this area, we had heard a lot of great things. And so once the opportunity came up that we could, apply for this position and take it, we did our research and we looked at it and said, this feels like the right move for us. Although, yes, a lot of other people would probably choose other bigger cities or other areas. Vicenza has a uniqueness to it, and it's lots of small communities surrounding the bigger city of Vicenza.
That's right. And I was curious about that. Thank you for sharing that because one thing I didn't realize, going through your videos, but you had mentioned work in that area. And I knew Vicenza had the military base and the apartments there just through our association. That's great. But you can also say that really for such adventurers, that really you can access everywhere from there, right? And already being in Germany, you're close enough if you just want to kind of pop over, right?
Oh yeah, we hope to go back to visit Germany. That's definitely something we'll make
Yeah.
happen. And we do, you're exactly right. Like the location is ideal. It's only an hour to the Venice airport, which gives us all of Europe and even more that's so accessible. And the Dolomites, we absolutely love the mountains. It's just only an hour away, like to the ocean and to the mountains, 1 hour each way. So really, we love the location.
Right. Stunning backgrounds and we'll get into that because if you are curious about the area and, their backdrop in northern Italy, you need to go to their channel and look at that. You do some great footage in that. So let's talk about your channel, Our Story to Tell. I love that title, by the way. It's so simple, but it means so much. How did that come about?
Yeah, actually, it's a funny story. I was like, we've been talking about doing a YouTube channel, and there was one day I was just driving in the car, and the song that I was listening to said something about our story or our story to tell. And it just kind of was like a light bulb moment for me of that's what we should call it. Because I wanted something that was going to be very symbolic of changes in our life. We knew at the time Germany was something that had a time restraint on it. And so we didn't want it to be specifically Germany titled. And that's been really beneficial to us as we've, moved to Japan and Italy now, is that the channel name just is very fitting. It's our story and it's constantly changing and evolving. So we're really happy with that name.
That's great. And so many stories you have told. And I think it was from the time that you were in Germany that the channel really started to pick up. Because, I know that ourselves, our hub is a website. And in the beginning, it's tough, isn't it? Yeah. And then sometimes it can just be that breaking moment. And then, of course, our focus is not the YouTube channel, but, you got to be doing it all the time. So who's doing the work? Because for any of you, most of us by now know because we're on social media or some kind of platform one way or another, but it's a lot of work. So who does what?
Risa definitely takes over on this department. At the first, it was, the goal of the channel was to share our memories with each other, have it to be like a digital diary of our family and of our life. And, I would do what I could just because, I still have been working full time the entire time we've had the channel, and maybe not having as much motivation to like work on videos late at night and after a full work day. So we've found a balance that's changed over the years, but Risa definitely is the one that takes over, editing the videos. She's definitely quickest at them now. And, but, at that point, I do my best to try and help with like video titles, doing like the little more grunt work, I guess you could say, for getting the videos ready, whether it's the description, whether it's links, whether it's subtitles, etc. So it's a group effort, but Risa definitely takes the bulk of the work for it.
And I have to say, it was my idea from the beginning. It was a mutual one, but it kind of took Tanner a little bit to get on board with the YouTube channel. And so I went into it knowing like, this is kind of my idea. And I would say one thing we also share is the video titles and ideas. That's a very collaborative thing to just decide, what do we want to film? Where do we want to go? What kind of adventures do we want to document? And then say in a video where we're on a trip traveling, it's very shared. Yeah. And it has came with, I would say a little trial and error as anything does, but I feel like we have like gotten that down really nicely now of just how to work together, especially with our girls. That's been something that is continuously being, what's the right word?
Tested.
Yeah.
Just because we want them to be a part of it, but also not too much of it. And sometimes, kids can be in different emotions at different times. And so I feel like the filming is a very collaborative and mutually shared thing. And then I do the grunt work of the editing. And like he said, he does a lot of like, after I edit and upload, then he kind of takes it from there.
That's great. So Risa, you said it's been a learning curve for you, but going back to, maybe your experience in the United States or whatever you were working professionally, did any of that help? The only reason why I'm asking is, for me personally, the background is marketing. So I'm finding a lot of people who have been able to be great storytellers through their YouTube channel. It's come with something. Either they've been in media or journalism or marketing or something like that. So how about you?
Yeah, this question actually makes me feel good about myself because I'm actually a registered dietitian and I have
Oh,
no
yes, that's
background
right.
at all in like video editing and marketing. Like I'm actually pretty clueless in it. And I wish that I had a little bit more because, in terms of just business perspective, maybe we would do things differently, but we have like zero education on it. We just I feel like are very authentic with our story and we try and show our realist self online.
Sure.
And we've been, I feel like, rewarded on just, on doing that and putting in some hard work and late evenings to get the videos uploaded.
Well, good for you both because the channel's fantastic. The footage and like I said, the storytelling. I mean, it takes a lot of footage to put together and a lot of sense of how to tell a story. We can all have a great story, but it's putting it together. So congratulations to you both. I'd love to see the growth of your channel. So something that just backtracking a little bit that you were talking about the challenges with children. So this is something in our day and age. How do you find balance? Because you're a family who needs private time, a family needs, then you also have to think about how much do I want to put my children out there? How do you work on that?
That is something we've talked about, more and more as our kids have gotten older. Like Rissa said, we want them to be part of it because in the beginning, like I mentioned, it was like a diary, like a video diary, you know, and we don't want it to just be of us. Like we want to look back and see videos of our kids. With that said, we definitely have tried to scale back how much we like show them in some videos, but it's still like a debate that we're having, and we're having discussions. What does the next 6 months, what does the next year look like as far as them being online? Because there are a lot of heated debates online about whether kids should or shouldn't be in like family vlogs. And so we're taking an approach a little at a time to feel what's going to be best. But aside from them being in the videos, yeah, like it's quite a balance that takes sacrifice from, one of us to be with the kids, focus on the kids if we're trying to, video or edit. And then we also schedule activities that like we don't have the camera out because
Right.
it can consume, it's no judgment to other vloggers or other YouTube channels or other social media accounts where it seems like they're sharing everyday updates or everyday thing. That's just not what we wanted to do because we want to have those breaks because they're important to us.
And I just wanted to jump in and say one thing that we do feel very comfortable and good with is that we don't do a lot of filming at home. There are the few that we do, like the learning Italian. That one was kind of on in the car and a little bit at home. But the majority of our videos are focused on travel and being outside of our home. And that's felt like a really good balance for us because even if we were to take a trip, like I'd likely want to document with pictures anyways. And so we, although we are making a video out of it, I feel like we really try to let our home life just be normal home life. And then when we go out to video, that's when the camera's out a little bit more. But it does have more of like just a documenting family adventures kind of feel for us.
Yeah.
Right. That's great. And one thing that you were mentioning when I was curious about your background, but then I remembered because if you are online, you just, Google Our Story to Tell. And I was delighted to find a great website because a lot of times YouTubers don't have that as well. And so tell us about that because you got some great resources there for anybody who's looking for it.
Rissa has spent a lot of time on the website. As of lately, it has taken
It's updating.
it has taken a back burner, but it goes back to the previous comment you mentioned, Lisa, and that is balance, right? When we had a lot of success with the YouTube channel, the website definitely took a backseat because we were finding ourselves at that point, wanting to just be consistent with YouTube videos like twice a week. And then eventually we dropped it down to once a week because it was too much. But she has put a lot of great effort into the website, and we've shared, a few, tips and tricks, a few travels. And we're glad that we have it. It is something we've talked about, like how can we do something that's still manageable and maybe share more current activities. But that's still definitely in the talks of how to do that.
Yeah, one thing that I definitely want to point out is on our website, individuals can find our travel maps. And this is something that Tanner and I spent a lot of late nights creating. And it's specific to Germany because we were there for the longest. Maybe we'll have to create something for Italy. That would be awesome. But there you can find a couple different maps that you can use with your phone. It's on Google Maps, and there's like a Bavaria, Germany specific travel map, and then there's like the rest of Germany. And on that, we split those maps into different categories. So there's, Christmas markets, food. It's been a long time since I've actually went over the categories, but there's like 10 to 15 and over 1,000 different pinned ones, and just like the rest of Germany map. So there's a lot of good stuff that I wish we would have had. And that's why we created it. We just wanted to create something that would have been so helpful for us when we moved to Germany to, find more of the local insight, hidden gems, and also where to go to travel to. So definitely check that out. And then also on our website, we've broken it down by country. So if you're interested in a travel destination, you just go to the country and then see if we have any footage on there. Like we mentioned, it needs to be updated, but there's a lot still on there. And if you click on it, then oftentimes there will be like our YouTube video related, which, if you go to that, then you can see what we did in that country.
Yeah.
And one last thing is, because I'm a registered dietitian, with the website, I actually had a private practice before we moved abroad. So that was what I did for my career and profession. So we actually just built upon that website. I, hid the stuff that wasn't relevant, but I kept up some of those recipes. And so that's why you will see some food content on there, is just because part of our channel is going to taste foods. We love doing food content. So I thought I'll just keep up these recipes because we like food, and who doesn't like food?
And I love that. I can't remember which video it was, but there you are in the kitchen filming and cooking with Willa, and she's up there on her stool doing those things. And that's so important. That is so important to, that more than me, because I'm not a dietitian, to be instilling that in children at a very young age, because that will develop their curiosity. And you have such great access to fresh fruits and vegetables, premium produce, and ingredients, right?
Oh, yeah. We absolutely love the farmers markets that are here in Italy. We've mentioned, like, every day of the week we can drive, 20 minutes and go to a local farmers market. It's
amazing. And if you ever get to it and you do those maps for Italy, do an Italy Christmas market map. Yeah. Be sure to share that. That'd be a great one. I'd love to see that. But yes, go on their website. You will see all the countries they've been to. It's a great resource. And I love that, for anybody who has the travel bug. So one thing, this feature, our interview, is part of our magazine called Chat with an Expat. And when we started at the end of 2020, it rhymed and it was cute. But every single person I've interviewed has said to me, I don't like that word expat. And you are the first couple that said, we're expats. So please define that for us.
Yeah, that it probably changes a little bit, but an expat for us is somebody who is living outside of their country, right? Like, so for example, we moved to Germany. So in that instance, we were, an expat. And I guess I look at expat right now as someone who, is not like immigrating to that country. They might be going for like a shorter time, is like, I guess, my definition right now, but that probably will change. But someone who lives outside of their country in another country.
And I feel like we don't really have a negative connotation with it. I feel like it's pretty neutral, honestly. I feel like, just as the definition of like someone, living away from their home country. And that's kind of how we view it. Maybe we should have more of an opinion. I don't know.
No, that's okay. And I do believe, because it comes from the word expatriate, that there is that connotation that you've abandoned your country because maybe you're unhappy or whatever. But definitely for us today, that is not what we're talking about. I just thought it was great that you've claimed that term. One thing that some people have said is that we consider ourselves, global citizens. And I think you could probably relate to that too, especially the both of you as a family, is that we are an accumulation of all of our experiences. That's who makes, us who we are today, right?
Yeah, that's beautiful, and definitely something we read that resonates with us.
Yeah, that's great. So, what's next? I put on the list of questions like in the next decade, because I was thinking, well, for them that would be good because that means their kids are, now teenagers, or almost, yeah, I would say teenagers, even your little one. So what's next in the next decade?
It's well, I guess for the foreseeable future, my contract where I'm working right now, we will be here for at least the next 3 years. And
Oh, that's
so
great.
that's the most that we can say confidently right now, which
Hmm.
feels really good because we had a short turnaround when we were in Japan for just a year. So it feels really good to know that we can really enjoy our community, really enjoy the experiences here in Veneto, and then we'll see what happens from there. Our hope is that we have the option to extend for an additional 2 years. So possibly the, middle of 2020 or 2030, excuse me, that we could still be here. If that doesn't pan out, we have really talked about the opportunity of trying to find a private industry international job for myself because there are a lot of health and safety industries, like a lot of positions within the health and safety industry, which is applicable for my career, but it's just timing it right when there are openings. So that would be like a really good goal for us there to stay in Europe, or relatively close to Europe, because I think we've just grown to really love the proximity to so many different cultures and countries. So
Yeah, and it does seem nice to keep our kids in. I mean, it would be awesome to even keep them in Italy since they'll be learning the language and can just continue to grow with that language.
Hmm.
Who knows? Honestly, we are always open to new adventures. Maybe too much so, I don't know. But I feel like we're just keeping an open mind with the future. But we do really love it here and could see ourselves staying.
yeah, and there is the potential that, if we don't find an additional position over here in Europe, like we're not completely closed off with the idea of returning to the States and finding something there. Right now, we're not as interested in going back to, where we previously were in northern Utah, but, life is full of surprises. So we'll
Yeah,
see what happens in a few years. We'll take a pulse check then too.
Yeah.
that's great. So let's say more philosophically, spiritually, what do you hope as your children enter adulthood, what they will gain from this?
It's a great question.
Yeah, a lot.
I guess first part is that the world is just so diverse and there's so much to offer, whether it's experiences like we've talked about here, whether it's perspectives, whether it's compassion. I think living in so many different countries with different cultures has really opened our eyes up to be like, I guess we know less and less the more we travel, the more that we go, and the more we learn, right? The more you know, the
Right.
less you know, kind of mentality. And so for me, I'm really hoping that our girls can grow up with the idea that they are learning a lot and they have really great experiences by, speaking English for one, but then, speaking Italian, but that there's like no limit to, the amount of experiences they can have to get to know somebody else, someone who has a completely different background from them, and to really just cherish those different experiences is what I hope that they can come with.
Yeah, we want them to be accepting of everyone, and to even for themselves. I feel like because we've lived a pretty non-traditional life, we at
Hmm.
least hope that they believe that they can live whatever life that they want. Whether that is buying or staying in one place and just settling down for their entire life. Like we just want them to believe that they can make their life to be whatever it is or whatever their dream is for it. So
That's
yeah,
great.
like there's so much to learn from here. Just being around and having experienced so many different places. I feel like that's our main takeaway is the desire to have open eyes and the desire to learn. And yeah, the more you learn, I feel like the less we feel so sure of, our beliefs prior.
Well,
Change.
and it also just opens up your ability to, I think, be curious, to like, have that desire to learn, and yeah, like learn different ways of seeing life, I think is a really big takeaway.
That's fantastic. And anybody out there that's listening, yes, now's the time. Take the leap of faith, because obviously our audience, they've thought about it.
Yeah.
And like I said, so encouraging to talk to both of you with young children, because like I said, even taking a vacation with young children comes with it. But I think you said that really well, is like, giving them their time. And, I have a niece and nephew with the, married couple with young children, and they travel a lot with them. And they said, give them their time to play, not everything's scheduled, things like that. So follow along their journey, Art Story to Tell, because you'll be able to get lots of tips if that's where you are at this stage in life. So in conclusion, I always like to ask, and I usually say, well, Italy, but we could just say, generically anywhere else in the United States. What do you miss about the United States when you're abroad, and vice versa?
Yeah, I mean, family is always the number one, but I feel like after that, as I'm sitting here in a non-AC room,
Oh no.
that's just, excuse me, that's something I missed in Germany as well, is the comforts of AC and ice maker in the refrigerator. Like, these are very, very like developed country, first world problems that I miss. So they're nothing that I cannot live without. Like, I'm used to it at this point, but I feel like it's just like those small conveniences that you don't have in one country. We totally had them in Japan, and we miss different things. Each country does, have the things that are the normal. And here in Italy, it's not the normal to have AC in every room. Mine's kind of silly, but what did you think?
No, it's okay. And then what would you say on the other side? Or do you want me to answer this one first?
Yeah.
If I were to choose one, after family, like Risa said, oh man, it's hard because there's so much that I like love about Europe that sometimes I don't have an answer for that one. So it would probably be, I guess, being able to flawlessly or seamlessly go into a place and ask a very detailed question about something, like just the language, right?
Right.
I'm a huge proponent of learning languages, and it's like been really challenging and fun at the same time for me. I would say like being able to go to a mechanic and tell them in detail everything that's happened and understand fully is like so huge. I'm learning a lot, and it's like really good, but I think just the simple being able to go somewhere without the mental load of having to learn a few new vocabulary words before you go into the store or try to understand what they're saying. So yeah.
That makes sense.
Difference. Yeah. I feel that.
And then on the flip side, what would you like when we visit the States, what are the things that you miss the most?
Miss about Europe. Thank you for reminding me of the question. I love the walkable cities. I love how, the public transportation in Europe and Italy. I always miss the food here. Normally we talk about missing like the bakery items, the fresh bread, especially in Germany. Here, I'm sure I'll miss the cornetto or gelato. Yeah. So food for sure. And honestly, I feel like Italy's already our home. So, when we go back to visit, it's just temporary. So it's just like that feeling when you're on a trip. You just kind of miss home,
Yeah, that sense. Yeah, no, I do understand that. But I love the little answers, because usually what I say is besides friends and family, because obviously that's always going to be the first one. But it's interesting with Risa and Tanner is that some of the common answers I've received are, I miss Thai food or Mexican food, but you've lived in Japan, not you, so you're getting, well, I mean, I don't want to be, that is, it's not, there are different cultures, but you've had, cuisine accessible from the East. Okay. So, and then usually they'll say, I miss organization like the United States. But there you are. If you look at their video about the Autobahn and being in Germany, efficiency is in Germany, right? So you've had it all. So that's wonderful that you shared it, your experiences. So in wrapping up, of course, tell us how to find you, our story to tell.
Yeah, so our biggest channel is definitely our YouTube channel, our story to tell, as we've mentioned a few times here. We also have an active Instagram account, and those are the two best places to find out current information. As we've also mentioned before, our storytotell.com is still available to go check out like those previous posts. We have a very inactive TikTok, but I would say YouTube and Instagram are for sure the best ways. And you can always send an email to us at ourstorytotellcontact@gmail.com if you ever want to reach out. We can be a few days behind sometimes just because we live life, but we do a really good job at responding to people who reach out to the email.
Yeah, we never try and leave an email unresponded to. It just might take a little bit. But that's just because we have little ones. And in fact, once Noah starts school in September, I feel like some of those things might be a little more timely. Hopefully our website can get updated. It's just really important for us to put our family first and, prioritize that before. But one other place I wanted to mention was we do have a Patreon account. If you're looking for support us, we have that, and it's been really nice to have a small community there that sometimes we'll go and post videos that are completely unedited. They're just us giving our updates, maybe what's to come, how we're doing, more of those behind the scenes videos. And so that's been fun to do. And then oftentimes we'll put like trip cost breakdowns, which has been some useful information. If you yourself wanted to say go to like Lake Como, we broke down, if you watch our YouTube video, you can see what we did. And then we break down exactly how much, like to the dollar, how much that trip cost us. So it's a really unique thing. If you yourself are really interested in traveling in Europe, you can see how much it costs to do that.
That's excellent. I mean, I love that because like that's something, we're planning to go on vacation in a couple of weeks, and you're always kind of trying to figure it out because it's good to know ahead of time. You can max out your experience. That's good to know. So of course, all the links are going to be below if you're watching this. And of course, we put it on the website. And like I said right at the beginning, and I say it every video, it doesn't take much. It's free. Like, subscribe, and comment. Comments help a lot. And obviously, please make them good comments because none of us like to go through negative comments or the haters, as my kids say. I mean, if it's really, good negative feedback is fine, but please, it doesn't cost anything and it helps us grow this beautiful community. So please do so. Thank you. We are Live in Italy magazine. It's www.liveinItalyMag.com and Live in Italy Mag on all social media platforms. You can find us there. So thank you for joining us. Your daughters were wonderful. I thought they were going to make appearance, but they've been so quiet. But go to our story to tell and follow their journey. So inspiring. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having us.
And we'll see you again, hopefully.
Yes.
Bye.
In touch. Bye-bye.